Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, but I kind of made it with a little twist because we're going to call it the 48 Days to Power. This is a book that helped 50 Cent back in the early 2000s when it came out, when he was looking on getting a lot higher in the music industry, and it helped out a lot when he was struggling. A lot of artists were struggling back then, and they followed this book. That's why it's a New York bestseller. If you haven't read the whole book, I recommend that you do. I've read pretty much the summaries in a lot of places. There's many good summaries on YouTube, but today we're just going to go by them one by one per day and explain them, what they look like, and how you could achieve power. So, number one is the never outshine the master. Well, why don't you want to outshine the master? It's pretty easy. Anybody that's in part of higher power, we'll use for an example, let's take Saul in the Bible, you do not want to trigger them or open their insecurities or try to outshine them by your work, because of the fact that they're in charge of giving you your raises, promotions, careers, and many of other aspects too. And you can do this with friendships, like friends. There might be a certain hierarchy person in the tree that everyone looks up to as like the absolute best friend. And if you just knock yourself down a bit in that ladder, and you keep yourself in the shadows, people tend to be more interested in you versus the person that's talking boastfully or pridefully. That's kind of basically how it goes. And what actions can you take? Again, you just remain calm, you remain stoic, happy. You just keep on being yourself. That's the thing. You keep on being yourself. But as soon as it becomes I'm gonna walk up to my manager, ask him, is there anything to do? You keep it to a point where it's like that's your manager, and you always give him the light at all times. You never try to prove yourself as being better than him or being more charismatic than him, because people don't like when you try to take the spotlight away from them. They always want to be known for their power. And if you amplify that, you'll realize that you're one step closer than they are, And that's basically what this law entitles, is that remaining humble, staying positive, staying motivated, but also not switching the light from your boss or your master into you. It's remaining energetic and remaining consistent, because eventually that light will touch you and you'll become the person of the spotlight over anybody else. But now, kind of thinking about this a little bit more, I'll throw this in before I end the video, so it'll look kind of off, but is that you have to realize that there's power in serving. There's nothing wrong with being in the position of serving people and obeying orders and stuff like that. And I think that's why he talks about never outshine the master, is because there's power to serving, rather if it's not specifically through the master or your manager, for an example, just so it's less confusing. The people around you, so we'll say the other compliances, I don't know. The other people around you that are not your managers but work buddies, they'll see the effort that you're doing and the servitude that you're putting your effort into, and the consistency and the integrity that you're putting in. So if you really think about it in that way, some people might even put you in higher power because of those actions and qualities that you do have. So definitely one of those things to keep your head up about. All right, now I'm out. God loves you.